I want to make it really clear, first of all, I'm not referring to average geezers who don't give a shit, and I ain't really talking about those atheists who have the brain cells to, kind of break the entire universe. I'm referring specifically to this weird, spurgy end of YouTube, where it's basically just people yelling about how Christ bad, and how God not real because I can touch my penis and stroke it, These kind of fucking spurgs, because these are ultimately the people who actually live the atheism. And people need to know why it might not be a good idea. One thing you're going to start noticing when we go through a few of these atheist YouTubers, because we're going to go through 3 of them, is that their names are almost randomly generated, right? Like, they've got Godless, they've got Cranium, they've got Engineer, they've got genetically modified, and, things like that. Pretty generic terms to say, like, I fucking love science, Like, the one thing that is lacking, though, that probably should be there is the Nintendo Switch in the background on their channels, but I suppose I digress. And we'll start with one of them, and he's probably my most favourite generic atheist, and that is Godless Engineer, and he has all of the tropes of this community, like he's a very bearded, very husky kind of guy. He believes that atheism is the true apotheosis of science. And he believes, and this is probably the most hilarious one, at least until I get onto the reason I'm bringing him up. This guy denies that Jesus Christ ever existed. Like, just straight up. Like, he doesn't know that he's actually, like, Jesus Christ is probably the most verifiable figure to exist at that time. There is more evidence of Christ than there is of Julius Caesar. But no, he just denies him because, apparently that's in vogue. Because I can tell you there's not much thought going into it. But the reason I wanted to bring him up is that it's really emblematic of how some of these spurgs act. How this guy acted in a particular live stream. And this is one he had with Dave the Distributist. Now, notice in the title on his Twitter page, which he obviously has me blocked for a fucking reason, that he talks about politics. Now, this is actually completely emblematic of their entire community, because they don't have a fucking clue what's going on. So, at one point in the stream, which I'll link in the description, Dave brings up the migrant crisis, and Godless Engineer even, they're so generic, doesn't know what it is. Like, this was in 2018, and he didn't know what the fucking migrant crisis was. He'd never heard of it. He just didn't have a fucking clue, but the thing is, throughout the entire discussion, he just gets wrecked so hard, and you can tell from the like-dislike ratio between the different sides of the stream that he just got thoroughly, Dave just bent him over the table and gave him what for. But the real reason why I'm going to link Godless Engineer's version of the stream is the last 5 minutes, because he doesn't do quite what you'd expect someone to do. Do you think he, A, talks to his audience and just sort of closes up the stream, B, just straight up closes up the stream after the conversation, or C, gets up off of his arse, grabs a ukulele and plays a song to commiserate his defeat? And for those who actually watched it, yes, the answer is C. This guy literally gets up out of his chair and does a commiseration song about the stream. He's the kind of guy that you'd go to a party and he might be there in the corner, and you give him a funny look, and he'd look you right in the eye back, and he'd go, "I'm not autistic, I was tested." That is the level of it. And all of these people are free to respond to me if they want, although obviously Godless Engineer's blocked me, so that ain't happening. Unless he magically finds this video and decides to BTFO some theists by denying the one figure that we were almost certain of from that time. But anyway, he's not even the funniest one. I'm going to move on to somebody who's far more juicy, because he's actually interacted with me. So another generic name that we've got here, and that's Godless Cranium. Now, if you were to search up Godless Cranium on Twitter, what would you find? You'd find that he respects women and minorities. That's the absolute thrust. He's a He's a pinnacle of secular morality. He is truly the saint equivalent of secular society. He does all of this stuff. In fact, he actually patrols people who do not fully respect women. And I've had some interactions with this guy. And honestly, he reminds me in a lot of ways of Mundane Matt. But I'll describe basically how it went down. I've also linked a video in the description which describes it all, because Dave the Distributist, who I actually mentioned earlier on, was paying quite close attention to this and represented it far better than I could because I was involved in it. So I make a video response to his request for people to explain the utility of Christianity. I think I did a pretty decent job of explaining it, and he responds and basically says, your thumbnail is shit, and you got the question wrong because you said it slightly differently. You know, the kind of thing that a true liberal would point out. And I responded to that on a stream very, very quickly. I wasn't expecting any sort of response beyond maybe a couple of tweets, and instead he made I think it was a 20-minute long video where he actually had a full-on spurg out with Lizard Man, or whatever his name is, his lizard mate. I honestly don't remember these people because they all blend into one for me. Like, just the names and the content is so generic and absolutely unoriginal and actually kind of orthodox that I don't really recall it. So he kind of has this spurg out and gets really angry because I dare disrespect the woman respecter. And I can't remember exactly what happened after that. I think he muted me for some reason on Twitter, but that didn't stop me messing around, because when Mauritian sees somebody who doesn't appreciate getting messed around, I mess around harder, because I find it funny. And I have no problem with dealing with anything like that. So, after a while, we just randomly one day, we're bored on Discord. And so we decide, wouldn't it be a laugh if we raided a server? Just for a mess around. Because what do you do when you're bored on a Saturday afternoon and your mates aren't in town? You go on Discord, you talk to the guys, and you organise something. So we are on this server for about maybe 10 minutes. We dump a couple hundred different memes. Like, not particularly edgy memes, like things like Ben Garrison originals, just for a laugh. And we naturally get kicked, as you'd expect. But there are two details which make this quite funny. First of all, Godless Cranium spurgs about it on Twitter for a full day. And second of all, Godless Cranium doesn't realise that you can actually delete all of the posts for the last 24 hours when you ban somebody from your server. So he just bans us and then spends the next, apparently, few hours deleting the memes. He doesn't use the automated tool that comes with Discord. He manually deletes the memes. And apparently they were offensive or something. Well, yeah, they would be. They're fucking memes. What do you expect? And then he does this weird thing where he'll occasionally sort of take jabs. Like, there was one time where he took a screenshot of a video of mine about, like, why thoughts need help. And says, "Oh, that's creepy. I mean, I'm not fully respecting women. I'm not allowing them to, enable things that might actually hurt them long term. So I suppose I'm not a woman respecter." So he screenshots this. But the thing is I'm muted, so I can't respond. And the funniest thing is that I respond, some other people respond, and we end up completely annihilating him on likes in that whole grand scheme. But the funniest thing is, like, the whole thing, he got really angry over something completely irrelevant. Like, you'd think that I'd gone to his house and murdered his wife's son. It was really, really, I don't get the anger. Like, it's just like, okay, I can take the piss out of you in a video and then you do it, but like, if I do it, you're just gonna sit around like that? Nah. But the funniest thing is he never refused. He never allowed a stream. Like I said multiple times, why don't we just talk this out? Because I'm the kind of person who likes to reach a consensus with somebody if I have an argument with them. I did that with Sargon. I've done that with other people in the past. But he wouldn't stream, which is kind of weird. I think there's two major reasons why. I think the first one is that he didn't want to disrupt Tyrese. And second of all, I don't think that he had really an argument against me, and I think that if I actually interacted with him, he knew that I would win. Just in the same way that the Distributist destroyed Godless Engineer, and frankly, Godless Engineer is more intelligent than Godless Cranium. But regardless, I think we've got a pretty decent idea of a lot of the smaller YouTube godless people, or whatever they decide to call each other. Sometimes they call themselves heathens, which is pretty funny, because I can kind of imagine these guys sitting like across from a woman in a bar, and she goes, "Oh, so what are you, Mister Godless Cranium, or Godless Engineer, or witless autist?" And they goes, "Oh, I'm a heathen." I just find that quite funny. But enough with the small fry. Let's go after somebody who everyone here has heard of, and I think is kind of funny in his own right. If you watch The Amazing Atheist for any amount of time, be it on serious theological topics like St. Thomas Aquinas or on anything else, you would be mistaken for considering him to be a clown. But the thing is he is actually a clown. Like, he has legitimate tricks that could do quite well in a circus. For example, he is the only man on earth who can make a fruit salad in his rectal cavity. I'm also quite surprised that America hasn't invaded his balls, considering he poured oil on them. But that's besides the point, because I think that The Amazing Atheist represents quite a lot of what is wrong with the atheist community, to the point where he's kind of a meme in and of himself. And that largely comes from the man's hubris. Like, his general hubris, which I think is actually famous at this point, to the point where I'm going to just link a video and let you watch it, of him attempting to debunk one of the greatest philosophers to ever live, and thinking that he is, quote, orders of magnitude more intelligent than St. Thomas Aquinas. In fact, I'm kind of just rounding out this video with this guy, because although you've got, like, Respect Whammon Cranium, and you've got whatever Godless Engineer could be, he represents everything that's wrong with the atheist community in such an amazing way. Like, him dying as a channel, the kind of general look, the degeneracy, that I think it would be really it'd be kind of a disservice not to mention him in a video like this. So anyway, thanks for watching. We're going to make more videos hopefully this week. See you later, and goodbye.